When we reach the solar value of 31, we have arrived at the 5 of diamonds. I can tell you a little bit about that solar value and that card because it's my birth card. The 5 of diamonds, as you may have guessed, is special. Not because it's my birth card, but because it is the only card, fixed cards and crown line cards included, the only card in the entire deck that in its planetary sequence has 4 court cards. Mercury and Venus, Queen of Spades, Jack of Clubs, Uranus and Neptune, King of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds. 2 jacks in its sequence, 4 court cards, very strong early years, very strong late years. So let's have a look at what this special card has in store for us. First of all, you may or not remember the 6 of clubs. The 6 of clubs is on the Neptune line in the Saturn position, and the 5 of diamonds is in the Saturn line in the Neptune position. So both have a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and that is not an easy one. Why? Because on one hand, we've got that vision, that large ideal, that larger than life, that almost untouchable energy of Neptune, healing, thinking outside of the box, out of this world, really far, far, far away. Sometimes a bit confused, sometimes a little bit distracted, especially with those 2 jacks, and especially with that Jack of Diamonds in its own, as its own Neptune card. And on the other hand, you've got that strict, disciplined energy that Saturn brings along. And those 2 couldn't be further apart. Neptune wants to go all out, invent new things, discover new things, try out new things, very spiritual. And on the other hand, you've got Saturn that says discipline, discipline, discipline. And that is particularly difficult for a 5 of diamonds, which is about seeking 5 values, diamonds. But this, if you look at the sequence of cards in the natural or spiritual spread, the 5 of diamonds obviously is heading towards the 6 of diamonds. It's coming from the 4 of diamonds, now it's the 5 of diamonds. Next one, next stage in its evolution, in its natural evolution, is a 6 of diamonds. And the 6 of diamonds means financial responsibility, because the 5 of diamonds is anything but. They suffer from fluctuating finances. They also have, not our subject in this video, that's for another day, they have a 9 of diamonds as their first karma card. So they need to be generous, but they don't need to be, or they mustn't be too generous. They always need to ensure that they have a penny or a Bitcoin saved for a rainy day, because their natural inclination is to be very generous, and their natural imprint is to suffer, or the affliction is to have stages in their life where they have a lot of money, and then they have stages in their life where they have very little money. It goes up and down, up and down. And I'm yet to find a pattern in there. At first I thought it was about every 9-10 years, but that is not really true. But sort of have a look if you are a 5 of diamonds, or if you know someone who's got a 5 of diamonds birth card. And usually we do this at the end. Now I'm doing it right now. Here are the birthdays for the 5 of diamonds. Fluctuating finances, dissatisfaction with values, life of the 5 of diamonds. Right, enough of that. Let's look at the planetary sequence. And as I mentioned before, in Mercury we find the Queen of Spades. The Queen of Spades is the second highest card. Now picture someone who's got that card as their Mercury card. That can only be compared to the Eight of Diamonds that has the King of Spades as their Mercury card. Here we have a card of self-control, self-mastery in the position that governs the mind, that governs communication. So someone that is very, very strong on the mental side. Once again, this is potential. Whether you make use of it or not, that's an entirely different issue. But here we've got someone who's been given a very, very strong mind and is reminded to control that mind, probably also because of those two jacks that follow in Venus and then the one in Neptune. Because if you can't govern your mind, you can't derive anything that you discover on your quest to seek for values or income opportunities. Five of Diamonds. That can only work in a positive and a constructive way if you have your mind under control. And that is a constant reminder for the Five of Diamonds to create some stability in terms of values, as difficult and almost impossible as it sounds. And the sooner they learn this lesson, the better, because they don't want to arrive in their later years and not have a penny to their name or a Bitcoin. So here, very strong mind, potentially, but also a little bit towards the fixed side because it's the second highest card in the last suit, the spade suit. Very strong. There's only one birthday for the Queen of Spades, and that is January 2nd. So it's a very rare card, it's a very rare energy, and we arrive at that really right at the end. Master yourself. And here, with the Five of Diamonds, that card sits in the position of the mind. There's also a service element, and that also ties in with that generosity that is being almost like put into their cradle by the Nine of Diamonds first karma card. So very generous people. They're not stingy. They love to give. And they're generous almost to a fault. We continue with this Venus card. In Venus, we find the Jack of Clubs. And that, in my case, because I'm a October Five of Diamonds, that is also my planetary ruling card or internal card. The Jack of Clubs is the genius card because there's the creative, witty, inventive energy of the Jack in the suit of communication of the mind. Now picture the combination of a Queen of Spades in Mercury and a Jack of Clubs in Venus. That is power. And if that is used properly, those people can be very convincing. They can be very good rhetorically. Because the Jack of Clubs can communicate. He knows how to use words. He's in the court on the club's side. And he is creative, young, wants to change, wants to improve, because that's Jack energy. The downside, because it's a Venus position, is they don't want to take responsibility in relationships. And it was Edith Randall and Florence Campbell in Sacred Symbols of the Ancient One, where they said about the Five of Diamonds that they are good but temporary companions. Because the Five of Diamonds is always on the move. Not just because of the Five, but also because of the Jack of Clubs in Venus. So they're difficult to pin down. Life, if you have a Five of Diamonds partner, life needs to be interesting for them. And that throughout their entire life. Because of those two Jacks, they keep their youthfulness until the final days. Always witty, always funny, always mentally alert, always very inventive and very creative, because that is Jack energy. But to instill a sense of responsibility into the Five of Diamonds, that's a bit of a challenge. It can work, and that really depends probably on what kind of a birthday in the year it is. You know, I happen to have that Jack of Clubs as my planetary ruler, so I live out that quality on a daily basis. And for others, it may be a little easier, who don't have a Jack of Clubs as their planetary ruler. So here, the genius is on the one side is offset by frustrations and disappointments, endings, and instability in the relationship department. Big lesson here for the Five of Diamonds. We move on to Mars. Interesting card, because their Mars card is their first karma card. In other words, in the mundane spread, being the Neptune card on the Saturn line, they are displacing in the spiritual spread the Nine of Diamonds. And the Nine of Diamonds is their Mars card. So here we see generosity written into their DNA. As far as finances are concerned, things come to an end. Things always evolve for that Nine of Diamonds in Mars. Mars stands for the aggressive side, the male side, the dynamic side, changes, law, etc. Here, because the Nine of Diamonds stands for frustrations and disappointments, and Mars stands for the legal side, among others. Five of Diamonds people should never get involved in legal battles. Because of that Nine of Diamonds, they're bound to lose. So that's a big reminder here for the Five of Diamonds. And losses is their theme, changes. Their gains, their wins, their big wins. And then the tide turns, goes down again, and they'll find themselves at the beginning of a new project, because their mind is wired that way. And if I look back at my projects, every 2-3 years I changed, because one thing, at least for me, came to an end and I needed to change. The only problem is that some things only really pay off after 3 years, especially if you're involved in IT. You know, the early years, it's just the first years is just put in, and no output, no gain. But I didn't know that, so because I wasn't wired that way. I'm not a keeper of money, I'm a generator of money. I have ideas, I have brilliant ideas. And my advice to Five of Diamonds people, especially those born in October, and perhaps even those born in May, because they're Taurians, and the Taurians are also ruled by Venus, which means they also have the Jack of Clubs as the planetary ruler. My advice is use your mind in ways where you're allowed to initiate things, but not see them through to fruition. Because you don't have staying power. Your mind is not wired that way. You find it difficult to stay with one thing. In other words, use that brilliant, genius Jack of Clubs energy. Understand that value things come to an end with that Nine of Diamonds and Mars, and offer something that is so unique because other people haven't thought about it, because they can't think about it, because they don't have that constellation. They don't have that Jack of Clubs, and not as their planetary ruler either. And offer something where you initiate projects, where you are creative, but where you put a red ribbon around it and says, there it is, buy it, run with it. I may consult you, but I'm not going to run this as my own project. Because as you try to run it as your own project, new ideas come. Almost inevitable. Almost inevitable. And then you find a new brand name. You discover the ins and outs of that system. You become another expert in that field. But then again, time's up at some point, and then you say, all right, I need something new. That is you. That is the Five of Diamonds. So here's advice how to make money and use that volatile energy to your advantage. Nine of Diamonds, value things come to an end. If you can't tune into that, you're in trouble. That brings us to the Jupiter card. Here we find a Seven of Spades. The Seven of Spades is one of the most spiritual cards. Jupiter grows what it touches. The expansion for the Five of Diamonds lies in a very interesting card, because the Seven of Spades is probably the most internal card you can think of. The Seven of Spades means spirituality. Sounds funny? Isn't. Spades suit is a suit of spirituality. The 7 is the number of spirituality. So the expansion for the Five of Diamonds comes when they concern themselves with spiritual subjects. This is exactly what you are seeing right now. This is where the brilliance of the Jack of Clubs mind, planetary ruler, the brilliance of the Queen of Spades, Mercury card, mind communication, comes in and is used to the best possible advantage. Spiritual subjects. Since 2007, I've been dealing with the Master Key system. The seminal teaching when it comes to mind development, when it comes to the law of attraction, when it comes to how do I convert potential or ideas into reality, how do I make wishes come true. That's the Master Key system. And if you haven't heard about it, my advice is Google it. Look for Mr. Master Key. You'll find some English stuff here from me on Odyssey. If you're more interested or more than just interested in that, contact me and I'll help you. The Master Key system, just this as an aside, the Master Key system is abstract. It means it is applicable to everyone, each of us. It explains universal laws. It doesn't cover the individual side. What covers the individual side? The cards. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I've put all this together, because you always need two. The Master Key system covers the one side, the cards cover the other side. Because then not only do you know how things work, but you also know who you are and you know who other people are. It's probably, I wouldn't say even more important, but just as important. Right, that is the Seven of Spades. So Five of Diamonds people need to concern themselves with spiritual subjects because their life is not an easy one. Their life is not an easy one. Remember right at the beginning that Neptune-Saturn conjunction throws them curveballs all the time. And to have a Seven of Spades in Jupiter and have a Nine of Diamonds in Mars, even with those two court cards right at the beginning, not an easy life. They need to be acutely aware and they need to make the best of it. And I've given you some clues as to how that looks like. We move into, and lots more could be said about that Seven of Spades, by the way, because that is a card you have to have faith. You have to have faith because things take time to develop. And you only see them through to a profitable end, whenever that may be, if you have faith. And how do you develop faith? We're not talking about religious faith. We're talking about faith in natural processes. And that's where the Master Key system kicks in. And it has helped me to develop staying power because the Master Key system I've been doing since 2007. No one in this world, on this planet, has developed more products and services around that teaching than I have. 2007, we are in 2025 now, so 18 years. I have never, ever stayed with one thing for so long. So that gives you an idea how important that is and how important that is in my life and the clues that I have taken from it, also because of the card system. We move on to Saturn. In Saturn, we find a very intelligent card, and that's the Two of Clubs. It's the Saturn card. That means that's where I have to, or the Five of Diamonds has to learn the most. It's the psychologist card. It's the card of partnership in communication. And interestingly, as I'm turned into my Saturn years, yes, that has happened, I started doing coaching, one-on-one communication. So I played into that energy straight away. Two of Clubs is not an easy card. They've got an Ace of Spades first karma card, and they've got a very strong Mercury card, which is the King of Clubs, which is then obviously my Uranus card. So here is an advice or a hint or a clue, whatever you want to call it, for the Five of Diamonds. Find stability, union, and knowledge. You need the other side, because you can be brilliant, and you are brilliant, you are bloody brilliant on one side, but you need someone else, because only then growth takes place. Otherwise, you find yourself on an island, on an intellectual island, where you feel misunderstood, because you don't have anyone that you can exchange with who is your intellectual equal. And that is absolutely necessary for that Five of Diamonds. Two of Clubs in Saturn. I should actually, for fun's sake, look at my notes. Saturn, the planet of karma and discipline, brings a Two of Clubs, the card of conversation and fear-based partnerships. Interestingly, twos are fear cards. Almost forgot. Fear-based partnerships. It teaches the Five of Diamonds to find their voice in relationship, especially when challenged or mirrored by another's mind. There may be karmic ties around trust, communication, or intellectual equality. The lesson here is to build healthy collaborations without losing their sense of purpose or boundaries. I'll probably wrap this up, sort of giving a little bit of that Seven of Spades again. Now let me throw in a Seven of Spades again. Seven of Spades in Jupiter brings tremendous opportunity through healing, faith, and overcoming inner doubts. The Five of Diamonds often feels called to serve or teach in some way, drawing abundance from alignment rather than ambition. Their growth comes not from expansion alone, but from endurance and trust when nothing external seems to validate their path. And that beautifully confirms what I just said. You have to have faith. When nothing validates your path, stay on it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Endurance and trust, absolutely critical and crucial. Back to this Two of Clubs and Saturn. Healthy collaborations without losing their sense of purpose or boundaries. They need those collaborations, because that's when that Jack of Clubs energy gets really going. If they have someone that they can bounce ideas off. And the challenge is to find that person, because with the mind as brilliant as that one of the Jack of Clubs with that Five of Diamonds, is to find someone that is equal. Moving on, Uranus. We're looking at the King of Clubs, the highest card of the clubs suit. So we not only have a Jack of Clubs, Two of Clubs, but we also have a King of Clubs. And that shows you how mental those Five of Diamonds are in their quest to seek values, to seek opportunities. The visionary thinker and mental leader. And that Uranus energy, remember the Five of Diamonds is the last card on the Saturn line, so it has all its planetary cards on the Uranus line. So that person can cause a stink, big time. That person is there to rebel rouse, to stir things up, to change, to innovate. That is Uranus energy, and it has got all its planetary cards on that line. Gives potential for sudden insight, breakthrough communication, unconventional wisdom. Wisdom King, unconventional Uranus. Technology, teaching, and pioneering knowledge are natural outlets. And that's what my last quarter of a century looked like, or has been looking like. But it also requires a Five of Diamonds to own their authority in non-traditional ways, often stepping into roles others resist or misunderstand. That's been the story of my life. Stepping into roles others resist or misunderstand. Five of Diamonds is a person very prone to taking risks, not physical risks, not body risks, but taking mental risks, going where others haven't dared to go. And that is that king energy. You know, that's that regal, I know it. I have acquired the mastery of my mind, and now I am there to teach, because that's Uranus energy once again, because teaching Uranus is about other people, because it's about groups of people. It uses technology and it uses non-traditional ways. And I have done this in all the products that I have developed around the Master Key system and even around Cardology. Done things differently, have looked at what has been done, looked at what hasn't been done, and clue for you, there are your opportunities. Look at what's been done and see what hasn't been done, and do what hasn't been done. And then carve your niche, own that niche, and shine like a diamond. No pun intended. Moving on. But here, third court card. Moving on, fourth court card. Jack of Diamonds in Neptune. A dreamer merchant, the trickster of value systems. Adds up beautifully. I mean, sort of just how that life of that Five of Diamonds looks like. This adds spiritual curiosity around material things, and sometimes confusion around wealth or self-worth. If you, not that you know, but sort of maybe you do know, that Jack of Clubs in Venus, by the way, has a first karma card in that Jack of Diamonds. So there's a very close connection between the Jack of Clubs and the Jack of Diamonds. A Jack with a Jack as a karma card. Spiritual curiosity around material things, sometimes confusion around wealth or self-worth. Very true, because that's that immature Jack energy that comes in here. Confusion around wealth or self-worth. What is wealth? Is wealth external? Is wealth internal? Answer is it's always both. Don't just go for one side. Self-worth. Jack of Five of Diamonds struggles with self-worth. They're seeking it. That's the essence of who they are. And it takes them a long time to realize that they're absolutely amazing people. Not better, not worse. They're amazing people with unique skills that are of critical importance to this planet. But you, as a Five of Diamonds, you need to know that. You need to own that. And for me, it took 45 years until I went to Rimini in 2011 to a Tony Robbins seminar and realized how much I had already accomplished. That was 4 years into the Master Key system, which started 2007. But prior to that, I had been a prime authority on customer relationship management. I've traveled the world presenting my Diamond CRM business transformation framework. Unique. As simple as it can be, Jack of Clubs energy, that brilliant genius mind. I didn't know that. It only dawned on me at the age of 45. Then I realized what I had already accomplished in life. There's lots of things that I hadn't accomplished at that point, that I still haven't accomplished. I just ticked off one more thing, which is the relationship side, and now I tick off another thing, that's the lifestyle side and the stable finances, because now I took the clues. Now I understood how those energies play themselves out if you do not know them, if they act themselves out subconsciously, and you are only at the receiving end and you wonder, why is that not working? Or why is that not there? Five of Diamonds may chase ideals of illusions tied to money, beauty or influence, but ultimately this card urges them to discover deeper soul values. Neptune. Creativity in business or art often blooms from this placement. And that's what I'm saying. It's once again that Jack energy, and in business, as a Five of Diamonds, use that mind, use that creative mind, use that witty mind, use that youthful mind, use that changeable mind that is out there to improve things, to change and improve. Create things that you can wrap up and pass on to others. Take your money, move on. Take your money, move on. That's where you're most likely the happiest. Fourth court card. That's quite a bundle, I'm telling you. We move on to the biggest challenge, interestingly, and not surprisingly, because now we leave the Uranus line and we get onto the Neptune line. And we find the Four of Hearts. So the Pluto card, death, ego, transformation, lifelong theme for the Five of Diamonds is to find stability in a relationship. And funny enough, that rewards card that we're not discussing here in this series is the Four of Diamonds. So in other words, if the Five of Diamonds finds stability in a stable family home, stability in relationships, which is so difficult for him, the stability in money and satisfaction in money, values, 4 of diamonds, will follow. And the 5 of diamonds can see how successful it is in creating that stable home environment by looking at its finances, the stability of its finances, because that's a lifelong theme. And because they are relational people, they thrive in a relationship, but their DNA is wired in a way that may only come relatively late in life. Until then, they're on a quest, they're on a journey, they're on a conquest, and they change positions, they change professions, they're on the move all the time. In, out, in, out, in, out, because that's how their mind works. But they realize that that comes at a price, and the price is relationships. And if you look at the planetary sequence of that card, you'll find that there's not a single hearts card in there. And the only hearts card that they do have is their Pluto card with that 4 of hearts. And that's about stability, stable home environment, loving home environment. Let's have a look at the notes. Pluto, the planet of deep transformation, brings the 4 of hearts, stability in love and emotional foundation. For the 5 of diamonds, lasting change comes through mastering emotional security and domestic peace. Absolutely crucial. Someone with a mind like this, with a setup like this, cannot tolerate a non-peaceful or a troubled or loud, noisy, unstable, aggressive, whatever home environment. They need peace. And they usually live a very simple life. They have good things, really good things, because they've got taste, especially the Librans and the Turians. But they need it simple, easy, and harmonious. That's the word. There's a core longing to feel safe and grounded in relationships, even while the surface self remains flexible and experimental. And that's what I'm saying. If you want to keep a 5 of diamonds, you need to keep them not entertained, but sort of you need to be able to grow with them, because they keep growing until their dying days, as paradoxical as it sounds. True power emerges when they stop running and learn to stand firmly in love. And the sooner you learn this as a 5 of diamonds, the better for you and your life path. That brings us to the outro. It says, because I'm right here, the 5 of diamonds is never meant to be boxed in, but neither are they meant to drift forever. These planetary cards show a life of deep shifts, profound insight, and personal mastery through change. When this soul learns to stabilize without stagnating and to free themselves without fleeing, they become a powerful force of evolution in the world, living proof that change, when aligned with values, becomes a sacred calling. Give me goosebumps. There you have it, 5 of diamonds. Once again, that Neptune-Saturn conjunction is not an easy one. The strictness that Saturn exerts on that person is hard. And yet they have all those ideals, all those visions, all those Neptunian qualities. And they still need to combine those to bring those two into alignment. They mustn't flee, they mustn't run away, but they must face reality. And one of the biggest realities that they need to face is to create stability and values, because on the evolutionary path, they come from the 4 of diamonds, now they're 5 of diamonds, and they move into a 6 of diamonds. And that's financial compromise and responsibility. Interesting card, by the way, because we'll be dealing with that next. Finally, once again, I'll show the birthdays as a reminder of that 5 of diamonds. You'll see it was quite a dynamic one. It's close to my heart, very close to my heart. It's been my life. And here you see the beauty and the benefit of this system. It describes people to the T, and it describes them. It's not that sort of, it doesn't describe their life. Their life could be completely different, but it describes their energetic fingerprint. It describes the soul potential. And if you know who you are, if you learn this through other means or the cards, you step into your power. And then nothing can deceive you, nothing and no one can conquer you, because you become the master of your own destiny, the master of your own fate. and you become a master. No matter what card you have, no matter what challenges are being thrown at you, you overcome and you succeed. I'll see you in the Six of Diamonds. In terms of subscription, liking, commenting, I always like to hear from you. So write down. I'll reply with pleasure. And if you want to find out more, feel free to book a personal consultation or an entire program with me. I'm still working on the English side as of end of August 2025. That may already exist by the time you watch this video. And if not, grab another video. But most importantly, grab the app. Grab the Sacred Symbols app, because there you'll find an increasing number of, I don't know, you don't find an increasing number. You find increasing awesomeness, not just you, but relationship analysis, etc., etc. But you see what is in those cards, the depth that is in those cards. And my notes will at some point also be incorporated into the app, and further enriching it. That's it. Over to you. Bye-bye.